I just watched Jesus Christ Superstar live, and I decided I was going to review it. Um, little background on Jesus Christ Superstar for me. It's one of those things that I grew up with kind of in the background where my dad would listen to the soundtrack a lot on the way to church. Like, he would play it a lot. And at the time, when I was a kid, it was one of those things where I think I watched the movie when I was about 8, and I was like, okay, it's fine, whatever. But it was one of those. It's one of those dad things. It's one of those things that you're just like, oh, it's something your parents like, whatever. Years later, as an adult, I would learn that my parents actually have really good taste in some things. My dad, especially with music, this being one of the cases. And I revisited the movie as an adult, and it's amazing. Uh, and part of the reason it's amazing is because of the anachronistic feel of it. Basically, if you've never seen the movie Jesus Christ Superstar, or have never even heard of it, it's the story of the last days of Jesus before he gets crucified, the last week or so, but mostly concentrates on, like, Monday, Thursday through the crucifixion. So those last 2 or 3 days, and it's a rock opera, and the movie has minimum costuming and things, so it doesn't feel like it's an authentic reproduction of Jesus's life just with English rock music. It feels, basically, it was made in 73, I want to say, so it ends up feeling basically like hippies out in the desert singing about Jesus, and it works. It's really good. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie. Its anachronisms kind of make it like fairly close to like a perfect movie. I love it. Um, and I've kind of been on not interested in seeing another version of it because I don't really want to see somebody else try and then mess it up, because it is such a product of its time. It is hippies singing about Jesus in the desert. That's what it is. That's what it should be. I know they did. I mean, it's still on stage, so it's always there. But I know they did in 2000 they released another version of it on DVD. After watching this one, I watched a couple of its numbers, and now I'm kind of like, I might need to check this down too. But I was curious. I wanted to watch the live one because I just wanted to see what they would do. I've never really watched any of these live revivals. They like doing these, like they did Grease live. A Christmas Story is apparently a musical now live. Things like that they've done, and I've just kind of been like, I don't really care. So I haven't watched any of those before. But I wanted to watch this one because I do love that musical. Specifically, I love that movie musical. You know. And for the most part, I really enjoyed it. Uh, in the beginning of it, the thing is that, again, if you're not familiar with the musical, maybe you should look into it a little bit first, because you'll just be like, "What are you talking about? Why are you talking about Judas?" But the song, the first big song in the movie, or the musical, sorry, is called "Heaven on Their Minds," and it's sung by Judas, and it's basically Judas concerned about Jesus becoming kind of too big for his britches. And it's amazing, and it's passionate, and it's powerful, and it's like raw, and it's and the guy who sang it in the original musical, and I should have looked up these names before. Hang on, where are you? Ted Neely is Jesus. I'm gonna go with Carl Anderson because he's listed second, and that would make sense for him to be second. This is the movie. This is the 73 movie. I love it. I'll just leave that over here in case I need it again. But Carl, I already forgot his name. Carl Anderson? Carl Anderson is amazing. He like just belts like nobody's business, and it's passionate, and it's raw, and it's like, it's like he's losing his voice at the time because he's screaming. Actually, a lot of that movie, it sounds like they're losing their voice because they're screaming. And it works for it because it feels so like just genuine. Like, just, I'm trying to think of a better word than raw, but I can't think of a better word than raw. This one, the live version, the Judas, his Heaven on Their Minds was a little bit weak. The rest of the time, I liked him a lot. Actually, as the show progressed, I really liked him. But just for that first number, that here's introduce you to Judas number, he just kind of, I don't know. But it also might be because I'm so used to hearing it belted, so I wasn't really prepared to hear it a different way. I don't know. I might enjoy it more a second time. Who knows? But he was okay. But overall, I just didn't like him at first. Jesus was played by John Legend, and he was pretty awesome overall. Like, again, like there's some raspy shrieking that I'm used to in the '70s version that they don't quite get to, but they try, and it's still good. It's very emotional. The thing that I found myself mostly noticing with this stage production is it was live, but I think usually whenever they do these live shows, they don't have a studio audience. It's usually just they film it live, but it's closed sets or whatever. I think I've never watched them before, but that's the impression I was always under. But this one actually had an audience, so it was kind of like you're watching just production of the musical, and that I kind of didn't like, just because they, it was like every time somebody came on, they were freaking out, and that worked once in its favor, and I'll get to that. But let's see, who were the other big players? The other biggest character is Mary Magdalene, who was played by Sarah Bareilles, and she was great. Like, I think John Legend and Sarah Bareilles were both great. As it progressed, I liked Judas more, but apparently not enough to remember his name. Let's see, and also, and this is the other big star they kept on trying to sell it on. They sold it on John Legend, Sarah Bareilles, and Alice Cooper, who is basically a cameo. He plays King Herod. King Herod has one song, like Pontius Pilate washes his hand, or doesn't wash his hands of Jesus, but Pontius Pilate has Jesus arrested. And he's like, well, I don't want to deal with this. You're in Herod territory. You go to Herod. And so he sends him to Herod. And that's the only time the live audience thing really worked in its favor, because Alice Cooper just like ate it up, man. He was just like, people applauded at first, but then he kind of worked and was like, yeah, give it to me. And they also had the actors on stage at the front of the stage, like fawning over him, because that's how Herod is played up. And he was just like into it. And I really liked him a lot more than I thought I was going to. Let's see, who else did I like? I really liked the actor that played Pontius Pilate. He was really good too. All the actors were good. Like I said, even Judas, he had a little rough patch at the beginning, which bothered me, and that again might be my bias, but I liked him in the long run. I really loved the costuming, which I did not expect, because the thing is, like I said, starting this and why I was so kind of not interested in watching another production, is because to me, this musical is about some hippies in the desert. Some hippies in the desert just singing about Jesus, and that's it. And in this version, it's not the '70s anymore, so they're not dressed as hippies. They're most of them are in like a punk style, especially Simon. Simon is like a straight out Swedish rocker, and he was awesome. Like, I thought he was great, but it works. Like, everybody looks good. It just, the feel works. Where this music that I thought might have a hard time kind of making sense in a modern setting, it still works, because it is very, very '70s, but it works. It still works. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to say about this. One of the things, there was one thing I definitely didn't like a lot, and I will get to that momentarily. Let's see, everyone. No. Costuming. Oh, okay. I don't know how much I would have liked this if I wasn't so familiar with it, but if you know the story of Jesus, the part about the traders in the temple, and whenever they're selling in the temple and all that stuff, in the musical. In this show, it's, flipping the tables and everything. The way they did it in this one is they had them all pouring. It looked almost like glitter on a cross-shaped table, which was representing like money, and they were like just woo during the song. And I got it, and then like John Legend as Jesus comes in with a chair, and he's like, "How dare you!" And he kind of shakes this chair and is like, "Meh," and just like he just kind of tosses it over there. And again, I'm used to the more type, and that was fine. But I don't know if I was not as familiar as I am with the show, I probably would have been like, what's going on here? And then once somebody was like, oh, what's the people selling inside the temple, and then I'd be like, oh, glitter, money, gotcha. Oh, I also really like the costuming. I hate saying this. I hate when because the bad guys had the coolest costumes. Like most of the people just were kind of like the punk style, and that worked. Like all of the disciples were very punk, and I liked that. The Jewish high priests wore these just awesome black coats that I kind of wish they sold, because they look kind of matrixy, but in a good way. I don't really have anything more to say about it, so I'll go ahead and get to the one thing that I really did not like, and like to the point where I actually exclaimed a noise while watching it. Basically, okay, again, this comes from, I'm assuming you know the story of Jesus, at least they're about, Son of God, born, virgin birth, had some people, died, crucified. There's a part in the story, there's a song called Everything's Alright that's sung by Mary Magdalene. And during the song, Judas kind of starts being like, hey, y'all, y'all bought this oil, and, for like his hair and feet. And really that money could have gone to feeding people. Come on. How irresponsible are we? And Jesus kind of points out that, well, we can't feed everybody. We can't save everybody, and we got to look on the bright side, basically. Look on the bright side of life. But there's a really powerful moment in the movie it's my favorite moment in the movie. It's just beautiful. And I ended up watching the same number on the 2000 version because I want to see how they handled it in that one too. And then this one, and I'll link them all on after this because, I think y'all should see, where Jesus basically is telling Judas, he's kind of like chastising Judas, and he says, you'll be lost and you'll be sorry when I'm gone. And he's holding, the way I'm used to seeing this is he's holding Judas's hands as he says this, and he's looking right at his eyes, and he says, you'll be lost and you'll be sorry when I'm gone. The thing is, we know how this story ends. We know Jesus is crucified, raises on Easter Sunday, and all that stuff. They don't. Like, the characters in the story do not know what's going to happen. And there's this great moment where, he's holding Judas's hand, and he's looking in his eye, and he says that you'll be lost and you'll be sorry when I'm gone. And he starts pulling his hand away, and Judas is looking, and I'm like, what do you mean? And Jesus is just staring, just not breaking eye contact as their hands slip apart. And it's just powerful. It's great. And Judas just has that look like, no, we got to go back. Let's go back. What does that mean? Because, this time he in the story, he's concerned about, Jesus getting too big for his britches, but he doesn't want anything bad to happen to him, like at this point in the story. And so it's just a great moment because it's like, oh, that's the end game. And you're realizing these characters don't know what's going to happen. And Judas just like, that's his face. He's just confused. In the 2000 version, they didn't do it quite the same. They weren't touching. You'll be lost. You'll be sorry when I'm gone. Mary comes in, starts comforting Jesus. But they still cut to Judas at least looking confused. They don't have that interplay where they're looking at each other, but they're still confused. He's still like, what? In this version, you'll be lost, you'll be sorry when I'm gone. Immediately cut to a shot of Mary singing. And no reaction shot from Judas or Jesus. And I was like, and I actually went, ah, like that at the movie. So clearly I was upset. But then they showed a moment later on, and you know, and Judas was like, "Huh, whatever." But it kind of, it's like the best moment in the show to me, and they botched it, and that made me sad. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. My camera's running out now. It's got 10 seconds left, so it's blinking now. Okay, so Toodle Pipski.
Doom ba doom ba doom ba doom doom ba doom ba doom ba doom doom ba doom ba doom ba doom 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 doom.